Congratulations on the show and everything.
You.
I've seen the first episode, and one thing I wanted to ask you about was the sequence when you first meet the Queen for the first time, and there's such a nervousness about how it would be perceived. When you read that for the first time, was that a difficult scene to play? Because it's something that he spoke about before.
Well, no, it's not something. There's not actually written. I'm trying to find some details about the actual meeting, and there are sort of various interpretations of it. But I think in our story, in our historical interpretation of it, perhaps, is that he was in unfamiliar ground. There he was. She has a view of him, thinking that perhaps he may have been connected with the Russians. There's this rumour that he might have been tapped when he was at Oxford, or that when he was out of office briefly, he'd traded with the Russians, and therefore she's suspicious of that. I don't think that's true, and there isn't any truth in that. But so she's feeling him out, and he's trying to work out whether he's welcome. And Harold Wilson himself was a fast talker and had a bright, quick mind, and it was a matter of tempering that with the surroundings and how he was going to approach his relationship with Her Majesty.
Is there, obviously you've played various different characters in your career, is there a different process when you play someone that's real compared to someone that's fictional, or is it kind of the same process, or is there little kind of tweaks here and there to do it?
I tend to do a lot of research in terms of, I think there's a duty of care to that person, particularly if they have passed away, and to their family. And he's such a familiar figure, particularly to the older generations, that one has to capture that, I think. And so there's lots of studying, and it's just straight sort of instinctive impersonation, but then also, traits, where he's from, what his belief system is, and all those sorts of things. I mean, he's a very principled person, and I wanted to share that.
Indeed. I know this is such a vast. It's almost like making, I guess, 10, 12 episodes. It is mini movies, and it's such a rich kind of so much detail in it. I mean, did it feel like that? Did it feel like you're on a film set rather than a TV set?
Oh, absolutely. Yes, the scale of it. Yeah, you do feel that, and you're right. Each one, although it stretches over 10 episodes, each one is a film in itself and has a beginning, middle, and end, and has this wonderful intertwining stories that particularly. I do think about the first episode. The Anthony Blunt story is linked all strangely in with the perception of him and the perception of Harold Wilson, and the duplicity perhaps, or perceived duplicity of each of them. It's very clever, brilliant writing that audiences love connecting with.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey